All right. Well, that's always makes me laugh. That was easy part never gets old. Well, thank you for having me here and for listening to everyone's stories and such today. My name is Patrick Iveson, and I am 16 years old. And I came here from my hometown, San Diego, California, to talk to you guys today about how important and absolutely necessary complete rear visibility is in all automobiles. On September 24th, 1995, my mom and I were out on a walk, and we lived in a small Southern California community, and it was a beautiful, hot Sunday afternoon. My mom and I didn't have a lot of money, and we didn't own a car, so we just walked everywhere. And this Sunday it changed our lives. We were walking home, and we're directly behind a car when the driver backed up suddenly. And my mom had been carrying me, but seconds before she set me down. And she remembers grabbing for me and reaching for me and just barely missing before the car struck and completely ran me over. She tells me she's just started screaming, and people came running from every direction, and they could tell by the screams that something that was horribly, horribly wrong. And she tried to get me out from under the car, but I was wedged between the rear tire and the bottom side of the car on the passenger side. And a man came up and lifted the car just enough to have her be able to pull me out, and when she did, she knew that I was gone. I was completely limp, covered in blood, and I was turning blue. And she just clutched me in her arms, screaming, "No, no, no!" A man who witnessed the accident came running up and just said, "Okay, just let me take a look at him. You know, it's just a little cut on his forehead. Let me just see what I can do." And it wasn't just a little cut on my forehead. I actually had what's called degloving of the scalp. The car had completely peeled back my scalp, so it was a very horrific injury. But you know, just out of desperation, my mom listened to him and set me on the ground. And he immediately started CPR and mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. And after a few rounds of that, I began to cry weakly. And moments later, my paramedics showed up, and then within a few minutes, a helicopter landed in the parking lot of a nearby restaurant. My mom wasn't allowed to go in the helicopter with me, so when she finally reached it to Children's Hospital, I was already in surgery, so all she could do was just sit in the waiting room and wonder if she was ever going to see me alive again. And after some time, someone from the hospital came up and said, "Come with me," and he took her to a conference room. And she didn't want to go in that room because she was convinced that they were going to sit her down and tell her that I had died. She finally went in, and they told her the news that she actually desperately wanted to hear. I was stabilized and I was alive, and I was in surgery. I sustained a C4, C5 spinal cord injury, and I was unable to move anything from the neck down. In the police report, it listed my injuries as a minor scalp laceration, and the driver was cited for unsafe backing. So the challenges of a spinal cord injury go well beyond the inability to walk. I'm unable to dress myself, take a shower, or even use the restroom without assistance. Just imagine for 1 second laying in bed until someone comes in to get you up, or having your blood pressure spike every time you need to use the restroom because your body's unable to regulate its own nervous system. This spike in blood pressure is actually a medical emergency that I have to deal with and monitor really closely every day. I have literally spent thousands of hours in rehabilitation and therapy, and currently I spend 8 hours a week in rehab trying to gain some independence and function back. You know, this is my reality. I recently turned 16 and trained very, very hard to be able to drive a vehicle. I have a really old van with 200,000 miles on it. I'm actually kind of proud of that number. You know, looking at the thing, the little odometer going up. And so we modified that so that I could drive. And the very first modification we made on it, before the hand controls or anything, was we bought a little $60 backup camera to put on it. You know, so because I can't look over the back of my shoulder, and also backing up blindly is just dangerous, you know. So even now, myself, I'm short, you know. I'm not very tall in my chair, and on 2 separate occasions, I've come close to being hit again. And on one of them, the only reason the person stopped was because someone with me yelled and smacked the bumper of the car, and the guy slammed on his brakes. You know, my mom almost had a nervous breakdown right there in the parking lot. So, you know, I'm not here today to complain about my life. In fact, quite the opposite. I survived an accident that many others didn't. You know, it would be foolish of me to complain. There's not one moment of my day that isn't affected by my injury, but I cherish this life that I was given. It would be an absolute shame if I wasted any of my time thinking about what I couldn't do instead of what I can do. The reason I'm here today is to honor those children that didn't survive and couldn't be here. I wanted to speak on their behalf so that the world understands that it's impossible to avoid hitting something that you simply cannot see. Just like when I was 14 months old, little children don't understand the dangers. You know, it's dangerous to be behind a car, and the driver cannot see you if you're 2 feet tall. You know, parents do the best job they possibly can to protect us, but you know, we're spunky little kids. You know, we make it impossible for them to do it sometimes. And you know, children are quick and fearless. You know, my mom, Kona, and I went out and traveled 3,000 miles, and I certainly wouldn't have spent 6 hours on a plane with Kona to get here if we didn't think it was absolutely incredibly important to prevent children from being injured or killed in the blind zone that exists behind all vehicles. Every single vehicle has this zone. So please issue a strong standard that eliminates the blind zone behind a vehicle. This standard is just as important to America's children as seatbelts or airbags. Please make sure that no other family has to suffer the loss of a precious child, or that children who are meant to run and play don't have to rely on a wheelchair or those around them to move on.
Actually, hold on one second, Danny. Actually, I have one, and more so, I have a question for you, but it's more so a request. You are absolutely you exemplify everything about advocacy. Your strength, your generosity, your perseverance, your inspiration. And I want to thank you so much for taking time out to share your experience and to share your entire story about how you have overcome what many would think as, you know, as a barrier to living, and you've shown how you can richly embrace life and move forward. And for that, I'm going to ask a question on behalf of myself and the Secretary of Transportation, Rayla Hood. You say that you're just turned 16 and you're a new driver?
Yes.
Well, we have a special emphasis on teen drivers, and I would love to recruit a young man like you to talk to other teens about how to drive your vehicle safely.
I would love to.
All right, so we're going to be talking to you after we're done. I know we're putting you to work on advocating for rear visibility and everything else that you're doing, but I think you're a good, strong young man with broad shoulders. We want to enlist you in the fight to help other teens, you know, be safe drivers as well.
I would absolutely love to.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you so much for everything.
Okay, here we go. It's time to go. That was really remarkable, I must say, and Patrick.